everyone, I'm Melissa here and welcome to your Melissa Moment. Hello everyone, I'm Melissa here. Welcome to your Melissa Moment and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. This is kind of part 2 update of my health and what's been going on. If you missed part 1, you probably want to go back and watch that, so this will all make sense to you. So just to carry on, after I had been discharged from the hospital on Saturday, came home, kind of just dealt with things. I think it was, I can't even remember, you guys. I can't even remember. I think it was Monday. So discharged from the hospital Saturday, still in pain, everything just the same. Sunday, I didn't really do anything, still in pain, back pain, stomach pain, not really having an appetite, but I still was eating, because, you know, I was hungry, but I didn't have an appetite. Have it ever happened to you guys where you just don't feel like eating, but your stomach is like growling, like, hey, time to feed me? That's kind of what it was like. So I wasn't hungry, but my stomach was, so I did eat. Monday, I woke up the same. I just didn't feel great. So I went to, it might have even been Sunday. Monday. My days are all mixed up, you guys. Today's Wednesday. I don't even know. Anyway, I ended up going back to just the walk-in clinic where my family doctor's office is. And I was like, hey, I'm in pain still. This is what's going on. Blah, 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 blah. Now, the doctor I saw there was not my regular family doctor, but obviously part of the office. She was fantastic. She was great. She didn't just dismiss me. She could tell I was in obvious pain. She examined me. I gave her the whole history of being in the hospital and all the tests they ran and what the tests came back with and all that stuff. And she saw everything because she could pull up all the charts and stuff. So she saw everything there, black and white. Now, on the last CT scan I had, it had showed my right ovary was enlarged quite a lot. It showed a cyst. It showed some free fluid around the cyst, which gave the indication that the cyst was leaking. It also showed an umbilical hernia. So it showed a few things. But up until now, all the doctors dismissed all those findings as what was causing the pain. So she did an examination. She felt that this was due to the hernia. This is what she felt. Now, she's obviously family medicine, right? All doctors specialize in different areas. So as a family medicine doctor, they kind of have general knowledge of most things, but not in-depth knowledge. That's where your specialists come in, right? So she felt this was the hernia that was causing the issue because my pain seemed to be in the area of the hernia. So she called one of our hospitals here. We have 3 hospitals here. She has a co-worker, colleague, friend who is a general surgeon. She talked to him about what was going on with me. He agreed to take me into his care. So she told me I immediately had to go to the Royal University Hospital to see this specific general surgeon who has accepted me into his care. I was going to go there. I had to re-register at the hospital, go through regular triage, and then the general surgeon would examine me and determine if I needed an emergency surgery or not. So all I knew was I could be going for surgery. So I go back to the hospital, re-register. I got at the hospital at 8 p.m. because the walk-in clinic, by the time I went to the walk-in clinic and was done there, it was 7:30 at night. So I got to the hospital at 8 p.m., registered, set me in the waiting room. Now, the doctor I was supposed to see, the general surgeon I was supposed to see, he never graced me with his presence, ever. I had the displeasure of seeing his resident. Um, you know, I've had a few run-ins with doctors and residents and medical students lately, and you kind of get one of two when it comes to residents. You either get the overly eager resident who really wants to solve your issue and is really listening to you and is really showing that they care about you as a person and a patient, or you get the resident who feels they know everything and they're better than you because they're a medical resident and therefore your thoughts and opinions are irrelevant because you're not a doctor. You kind of get one of the two. This resident was the ego resident who just thought he was the best of everything, just had an attitude. Like from the moment I met him, he didn't look at me as a person. I was just a case to him. I was a number, right? Like, here's another one. So that didn't go well. They did blood work again. They did another urine test again. I sat in the waiting room for hours and hours and hours. You guys, I've been poked. I don't know if you can really tell, but I've got bruises. Like they poked me. My hand as well. Here I had IVs. Like they went to put an IV in and they couldn't get to my vein because they had poked me so much. So they had to put the IV through my hand. So that was fine. So basically this resident, he examines me and I was in a lot of pain. Like it hurt to lay down. I couldn't lay down without being in excruciating pain. So I like to think I have a fairly high threshold for pain. I like to think that I hold it together pretty well. I can pretty much just hold the pain in. I'm not one of those people who are screaming or moaning. I accept the pain. I breathe through the pain. This is how I handle pain. So to look at me, I may not look like I'm in pain because I mask it really well, right? And maybe that was my downfall in this whole thing. I don't know. Maybe I should have been the one screaming and moaning, and I don't know. I don't know. I do know I had asked if I could have pain medicine. I said, is there anything you can give me for the pain? Please, I'm in a lot of pain. I asked 3 different people, nurses, doctors, residents, whatever, 3 different people for pain medicine. And every time they said, we'll look into that. We'll see what we can do. My first dose of pain medicine was at 12:47 a.m. I got there at 8. And the only reason I got pain medicine at 12:47 is because one of the triage nurses, because I was still in the waiting room in emergency, came over to me because obviously I'm in pain. Like I was shifting in the chair I was sitting in. I was standing up. I was trying to just, deal with it. And she came over finally and said, did they give you anything for pain? And I said, no, please please help me. Please give me something for pain. And she immediately went to the back, I assume to talk to the doctor or resident, I don't know, and immediately came back with pain medicine. So thank you for that. But anyway, talking with this resident, he examines me. I'm in a lot of pain. I'm crying. I'm not trying to cry because I try to hold it all in, but the tears are literally falling out of my eyes. Like it's just running. And he very calmly, very arrogantly said, "So what do you think's going on?" Like, how do you answer that? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. All I know is I have pain that I've never felt before. So I can't relate it to anything. I can't be like, oh, this is a slipped disc in my back because I felt that before and this feels the same. Or, oh, this is a pulled muscle. I've never felt pain like this before. So I don't know what it is. That's your job. Figure it out, right? So he was like, here's the problem. When patients come in with issues, we look at all their symptoms and we see where those symptoms fit. Unfortunately, the symptoms you're describing, they don't fit in a box. So because they don't fit in a box, we don't know what this could be. You were sent here because your doctor thought it was from the hernia. I don't think so. And literally, this is how he's talking to me. Like, I could have fucking smacked him. Sorry for the language. Bleep that out. I could have smacked him. He's like, I don't think so, because if it was your hernia, first of all, looking at the scan, the hernia is quite small. It's quite small. And it's what we call a fat hernia. So normally with a hernia, what happens is there's a tear or a hole in your abdominal wall, and your bowel, part of your bowel, sometimes will go through that hole, and that's what causes the hernia. But that's not what's happening in your case. In your case, it's what we call a fat hernia, where there's just a little piece of fat that's kind of poking through. And it's not that big. It's really not. So I don't think that's causing your pain. I know that's what your doctor thought, and that's why she sent you to us, but I don't think that's it. So because you don't fit in one of our boxes, we really don't have an answer for you. I'm not sure what else we can do for you. You had a CAT scan on Saturday. Now they did it without contrast. I don't know why they would have done it without contrast, because we can't see everything when they don't use contrast. So I don't know where you had that test done. And then I beeped in saying, I had it done here. It was your doctors and colleagues that did it without contrast. And he was like, oh, well, we could redo your CAT scan with contrast. I mean, that might give us another, answer to what's going on. But, it's really late. And normally at this hour, they like to keep the CAT scan room open, for other patients. Not saying you're not an emergency, but They like to keep it open in case someone's having a stroke or maybe a heart attack, or, not that you're not important and that what you're feeling doesn't need to be taken care of, but they kind of like to keep it open for people who are, very near to death. Not that you're not important, because you are. Again, just, yeah, you're saying I'm not. So he's like, so I think what we need is, I think we just need some time to think about this. We just need some time to figure out, what we're going to do. And this is where I interjected, because I was getting upset. And I interjected saying, you're going to discharge me and tell me to take Tylenol. That's what you're going to do, because that's what you always do. That's what everyone here always does. And right away, he's like, well, now that's not what we want to do. And I don't think we're going to do that. But we just need some time to think about this to see what the next step is going to be. So why don't you go back to the waiting room and we'll figure out what we're going to do. Okay? And as soon as we figure that out, we'll let you know. Again, just condescending. And it's just great. So back to the waiting room I go. Back I go. And you guys, I'm sitting in this waiting room. And the waiting room is busy. Okay? There's a lot of people there. And I'm watching some people go in and go out very quickly. I'm watching people there who, in my opinion, shouldn't be there, or they're there for just stupid reasons. Like, there was a guy that came in, I would guess in his 20s. I would guess. And he comes in with a buddy. And he's laughing, and he's got his finger wrapped up, and he goes to the nurse, and of course, why are you here? I cut my finger off. And the nurse is like, you cut your finger? And he goes, just the tip. I just cut the tip of my finger off. And she's like, the whole tip? And he's like, no, it's like halfway. And he's laughing about it and stuff. And you got like, I don't know how bad it actually was because he had it wrapped up. Now, it didn't look like it was wrapped up well. Like, it didn't look like it was really thick or anything. And I didn't see any blood. I'm just saying, I didn't see any blood coming through on the gauze that they used to wrap his finger. So if it was really bad, you'd think there would have been blood. It would have been a bloody gauze. But whatever, again, not a doctor. But I was like, okay, whatever. So as he's sitting in the waiting room, him and his buddy are laughing about it. Apparently what happened was they thought it would be a smart idea to take a sword of some sort and use a sword to try to cut a tree branch. And this thought resulted in cutting part of his finger. So he's in the emergency room. And here I am in excruciating pain, sitting in the emergency room for hours while this idiot is there that he needs a couple stitches. And I'm like, okay, whatever, just whatever. There were other people there who were in a lot of pain as well. One, there was a couple there that came over and they were just like, how long have you been here? Probably because they've seen me sit there forever. And I'm like, since 8. And they're like, oh my God. Like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay. They're like, do you mind if I ask what's wrong? And I'm like, I'm in pain. That's it. The only symptom I have is pain. I don't have any other symptoms. Nothing. Just pain. And they were like, did they give you anything? I'm like, no. Like, they were also surprised that I had been sitting there for that long without any pain medicine. So it's not just me, right? Because there comes a point where you think, is it just me? Am I the one who's expecting too much here? But no, it's not just me. Other people were agreeing with me, like, wow. Another lady came over to me and she's like, Same thing. How long have you been here? I'm like, since 8. And she's like, oh my God, I've been here, for a couple hours, blah, blah, blah. But she goes, I've lived in Canada for 10 years now. I think she was Mexican. She goes, I've lived in Canada for 10 years now. And it's never been this bad. Like, you used to come here and 45 minutes to an hour in and out. This is ridiculous. I'm like, yes, it is. Like, and she goes, do you know how many doctors there are? I'm like, I have no idea how many doctors there are. I don't know. I see a lot of people behind the desk. I see a lot of people behind the desk talking about golf and talking about what they bought when they went shopping on the weekends. I'm not saying that they're not allowed to do that at work. I'm just saying, see a lot of people there, right? I saw people, you guys, I mean, there were quite a few people who were homeless in the waiting room. And I'm not saying they weren't there for a good reason. I don't know why they were there. But I watched these people ask for all different people, not the same, different ones. One person went up to the triage desk and said, can I get a bus pass? They immediately, boom, here you go. Immediately, here you go. Another one said, can I get a sweater or a hoodie? Again, I don't know where. Immediately, someone comes with like a bunny hug. Here you go. Another person was there with no shoes or socks on. Can I get some socks? Immediate. Here you go. Here's socks. That person who also asked for socks also got food. They brought her a sandwich, a little thing of cheese, a pop, and I don't know what a juice box, and I don't know if it was like a fruit cup or a pudding cup, something. Here you go. Just here you go. They also gave another gentleman food, the same kind of thing, a sandwich, a juice box, pop, food. Here you go. No questions asked, for free. Just here you go. Now, I don't want to make assumptions. Nothing like that. But all these people that got free stuff and immediately, they were of a certain culture. But no questions, no nothing. Boom, here you go. I asked for water because I had antibiotics that I was prescribed like days ago. I'm supposed to take every 8 hours or every twice a day, every 12 hours. And I was scheduled to take an antibiotic. And I had asked the resident people, I'm supposed to take an antibiotic. Should I or should I not? Because at this point, I didn't know if they were going to do surgery or not. And they were like, yeah, take your antibiotic. I'm like, okay, can I get some water, please? They're like, just ask the triage. They'll get you water. I went and I asked for water. Water. And they looked at me and said, you're here for general surgery, right? And I said, yes, but I don't think they're doing surgery. I asked them and they said I could have water to take an antibiotic. And she's like, oh, okay, I'll get you some water. I did not get water. Hours went by. I did not get water. I was debating on going into the bathroom and using my hands under the sink to get enough water to take my antibiotic because they would not give me water. I had to ask again for water. And then finally I got water. At one point they had said, we need you to leave a urine sample. And I said, okay, great. They did not give me a specimen cup for a urine sample. So I waited in the waiting room for hours and I had to pee, but I knew they wanted a urine sample. So I asked one person, I said, they wanted a urine sample. It was, they went to put an IV in my hand because they were going to send me for the contrast. So back to that, they had said, okay, let's back up. So finally the resident guy comes back to me and says, okay, look, we talked to CAT scan. They're going to squeeze you in. Again, making me feel like I'm putting them out because they want to keep the CAT scan free for someone having a heart attack or a stroke. So making me feel like I'm doing something that's causing an issue, right? So they're like, yeah, they're going to squeeze you in for a CAT scan with contrast. So just go back in the waiting room and they'll probably put an IV in for you, blah, 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 blah. So the girl comes over shortly after to put the IV in my hand. I had said to her, they had said they wanted a urine sample because all I'm thinking is I have to give a urine sample. It's going to be easier to do the urine sample before they put this freaking IV in my hand, right? Because if you've ever given a urine sample as a female, you know, you got to like hold the cup under, and with all this like needles and crap, it would just be difficult. So I thought it would be easier to do the urine sample first. So I asked the girl before she put the IV in my hand, hey, they want me to do a urine sample. I have to pee. Can I go do that before you do this? And she's like, oh, no, you can do that anytime. This will take 2 seconds. And I'm like, okay, fine. Okay. So she goes and she puts this stupid IV in my hand. Now, she put this IV in my hand. Like I said, she had trouble. She tried to put it in here. She was literally looking around my whole arm. And I'm like, are you going to stick a needle like somewhere here? Like I've never had a needle stick here. So she's looking everywhere. And she's like, oh, your veins are no good. And I'm like, I'm sorry. She's like, no, it's not your fault. They've just poked you too much. Great. So then she put it in my hands. So I would say like almost like I wasn't even back to my seat in the waiting room before they came from CT to take me for this CT scan. Now I have had a CT scan with contrast once, and they inject you with this dye so they can see inside. For whatever reason, when they inject you with this dye, you get really warm on the inside and you feel like you're peeing. It's a horrible feeling because you literally think you peed yourself on this table. Now, I have to pee. I've had to pee for hours. And all I'm thinking is, I'm going to pee on the table because I actually have to pee. I'm going to pee. And so I said, they come to take me for this. And again, I say to her, they want a urine sample. I have to pee. I've had to pee for a very long time. Can I do that before the test? Please? And again, she says, oh, you can do that anytime. This won't take long. Fine. At this point, I'm like, if I pee on the table, I pee on the table. Whatever. Don't care. Like, nobody's listening to me. So frustrating. So again, I'm like, this won't take long. But I was under the impression by giving me this CAT scan, I'm causing an issue because now the machine isn't free for people who are dying within the hour. Like, they did everything to make me feel like I was an inconvenience. So anyway, go and do this CAT scan. Excruciating. My pain level before the CAT scan was an 8 out of 10. The first time they did a CAT scan, I laid on my stomach, which was horrible. This time, they wanted me to lay on my back with my hands above my head, stretched. That was worse than being on my stomach. I was in so much pain. It went from an 8 to a 10. I was crying. The tears were running down my face. I was doing my best to hold it together because in a CAT scan, there's this little voice that says, take a breath, hold your breath, because they're trying to take pictures, right? So they want you to be still. I was trying so hard to be still, but the pain was so bad. It was so bad. So I'm there, hands above my head, trying to breathe, trying to be still, trying to be calm, but the pain is so bad, my body is involuntarily shaking because I'm in so much pain. I thought I was going to pass out. which probably would have been better because then they could have got some good pictures. So I'm like shaking, trying not to. They do 2 out of the 3 pictures. My eyes are closed because I'm in pain. I'm trying just to not think about it. The technician obviously came closer to me because she's like, "You're doing great. We've got 45 seconds left. We need one more picture. We really need you to hold your breath." And that's her way of saying you're moving around too much, right? So I do my best, whatever. As soon as I can get off the table, I'm up. I'm in pain. The pain is at a 10 now. Excruciating. Excruciating. So at this point, this was before I got the pain medicine. I didn't get that to 12:47. This was around 11 p.m. when they did the CAT scan. Okay. So now my pain's at a 10. They tell me to go back to the waiting room. I go back to the waiting room and I must have looked horrible because I had been crying. Like I was crying. I was hunched over in pain. I come back and the few people that had talked to me earlier about how long I was there and blah, 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 I come back and all I hear from them is, "Oh my God," because they can see how much worse I am. So horrible. And then I wait, and then I wait, and then I wait. Now, this resident who made me feel like getting this CAT scan was an inconvenience also told me, "Look, they're going to squeeze you in, but there may not be anyone here to read your CAT scan until the morning. So expect to be here all night," is basically what he said. I was already expecting to be there all night because every single time I go to the emergency room, I'm there for a minimum of 6 hours, usually average of 9 or 10. So I was expecting to be there. So I'm in the waiting room in pain, excruciating. Pain medicine came at 12:47. In the waiting room still, literally waiting there. It was about 2 in the morning. A paramedic came over. I know he was a paramedic because he was wearing a shirt that on the back said paramedic. Very nice guy. Comes over, he's got my chart. Now, I don't know why there was a paramedic working in the ER. I don't know if that they do that for extra experience or if they're doing it to help out because they're short-staffed. I don't know. I'm not asking questions. I just need help. This paramedic comes over to me and he goes, "Melissa?" I'm like, "That's me." And he goes, "Hi, my name's David. I'm a paramedic here. You've been here for a very long time. So we're going to move you to a room where maybe you'll be a little bit more comfortable and maybe you can get some rest." Wow. Thank you. Please. That'd be great. So he takes me all the way through the emergency room, all the way to the back. Now, I was expecting like a hospital bed with the curtain, and they have beds all over, just curtains. This was an actual room, you guys. It was a room with a door. So he takes me in there. There's the bed. Now it's flat. And he's like, "Did you want this raised up at all?" And I'm like, "I need it raised up all the way, please. I cannot lay down." He's like, "Okay, no problem." So he puts the bed up. It's like this. It's literally like this, right? So I'm sitting on this bed in pain. And out of everyone at the hospital, he was the nicest, besides the nurse that gave me the pain medicine. So he says to me, he's like, and I was cold also. The waiting room is very cold. I should have taken a sweater. I didn't. I probably could have asked for one because other people apparently can, but I'm guessing because of the color of my skin, I probably wasn't going to get one. Take that as you will. I'm sorry. This is what I experienced. So he was so nice. He's like, "Would you like a blanket?" I'm like, "Yes, please. Yes, please." He says, "Would you like a regular blanket or a warm blanket?" "Warm, please." I didn't know that was an option. "Warm, please." He comes back with 2 warm blankets for me. It was amazing. I put one on my back and I used one to cover up with. It was great. He was great. Is there anything else you need? I'm like, no, I'm good, thank you. And he left the room. Shortly after he left, a nurse came in. She took my vitals. Okay? So blood pressure, thing on the finger, thermometer under my tongue, took my vitals. She gave me a call button. She attached a call button to the bed. If you need anything, push this. Okay. And she goes, did you want the lights down? Yes, please. Turn the lights down dim. This is like 2:30 at this point. I'm like, okay, maybe I can actually try to sleep a little. Now, at this point, I had the pain medicine at 12:47. This was about 2:30. I was starting to feel better. The pain now had gone from that 10 I was at down to, I would say, about a 6.5. So I'm like, okay, I'm feeling better. Maybe I can sleep. Now, I'm sitting upright. Now, the way that the bed was, my head, if I had it on the very back, I'd literally be like this and I get a crick in my neck. So I was literally like this on the bed trying to sleep. And have you ever had that where you kind of fall asleep sitting up and you're falling asleep, but then like your neck jerks, right? And then it kind of wakes you up? That's what was happening to me because I couldn't lay flat. And so I had asked her, do you have a pillow by any chance? Because I'm like, if I could just put something behind my head, to kind of support it a little bit better, I might be able to sleep better. So of course she was like, I'll see what I can find. Never talked about the pillow again. Never got a pillow. Never. No pillows. So I'm like, okay, great. So that was fine. So I kind of nodded on and off for, I don't know, a little while. And then she had left the thing on my finger that takes like your heart rate and your oxygen. She left that on my finger like forever. But the machine that I was attached to with this thing, it also had a blood pressure cuff that every once in a while would take your blood pressure, but she didn't put it on my arm. She left it on the machine. So it beeped and I could hear the blood pressure cuff expanding like it was trying to take blood pressure, but it's not on an arm. So the reading obviously is coming up as nothing. So then the machine is going crazy and is beeping like beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, I can't sleep. So I'm like, maybe it'll stop on its own. And it didn't. So then I'm like, well, I didn't want to push the call button because I knew I was already inconvenienced. I didn't want to be that patient, right? But it was annoying. So I pushed the call button. She comes in and I'm like, the machine's beeping. I think it's just the blood pressure cuff. And she doesn't say anything. And she goes over the machine and she's like pushing the button like, and then she leaves. And I'm like, thank you. Like, so I'm nodding off for like between 2:30 and 5:30, nodding off. Every once in a while, she would come in and just check the thing again, and that was it. And then the resident, I'm not calling him a doctor because I don't think he is, the resident came in at 5:15-ish in the morning, 5:15, somewhere around there in the morning. And he's like, okay, so we got your CT with contrast back, and there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Now, I thought he said there's a stone. I thought that's what he said, but as he kept talking, it became apparent that no, there was nothing there. So I don't know if he meant to say it that way or if he just said it a weird way or I just wasn't paying attention. I don't know. But anyway, according to him, nothing there. Everything's fine. Everything's clear. Nothing there. So at this point, he's like, so we're general surgery and you came to see us at general surgery. So our job is to determine whether you need surgery or not. We have determined you do not need surgery. Now, we can put you on the wait list to get that hernia repaired, but that's not happening right away. I'm like, yeah, there'll be years. He goes, well, a couple months maybe. We'll see. So he's like, so that's our job. There's really nothing else we can do for you because that's what our job is. So we recommend you go back to your family doctor because they'll be able to send you to other specialists, whether it's a GI specialist or a gynecologist, or they'll be able to send you to another doctor. So that's kind of your only option, is to either go back to your family doctor or to see an emergency room doctor. And I'm like, great, I happen to be in the emergency room. Can I see an emergency room doctor, please? And he goes, well, here's the thing. If you see an emergency room doctor, they're going to probably want to do the same tests that we did. And since we've already done those, they can look at the results like we did and determine that everything looks normal. So there's really nothing the emergency room doctor can do for you either. So I said, so you're sending me home with Tylenol, like what I said hours ago that you would do. Well, no, we don't want to do that. There's just nothing else we can do for you here. Great. Thanks for nothing. So he's like, I mean, I can talk to an emergency room doctor to see if they have any other ideas, I suppose. Yeah, do that. And then he says, he has the gall to say to me, you know, it could just be indigestion. We did notice on your scan, you're pretty constipated. You're pretty constipated. So it could be that. How am I constipated? I went to the bathroom. It was normal. It wasn't constipated. I don't feel constipated. If the scan shows I am, that's weird because I'm not. Like, okay. So anyway, he was like, he leaves and he comes back. He's like, so I talked to the emergency room doctor. They suggested maybe we give you what's called a pink lady. Now, I've had this before. It's basically like a Malox mixed with something else. It's for like indigestion and crap. Great. Sure, give me that. So they gave me one of those on the way out. Thanks. Then the nurse, she was like, do you have a way home? And I said, no, I don't, because I wasn't sure if I was going for surgery or not. So I didn't drive myself because you have to pay for parking. And I'm like, that's going to be expensive. So I got my husband to drop me off at 8 o'clock at night. But we have our 7-year-old daughter, so he's at home with her because she's sleeping, obviously. So I said, no, I don't have a way home. There's no one that can pick you up? No, there's no one that can pick me up. I don't have a way home. Now, I'm hoping, because I saw them give out free bus passes and free cab rides to other patients, that she would offer something like that for me. And then she says, well, if you go back to the waiting room, there is a button there that will call a taxi cab for you. Are you able to pay for a taxi cab? No. No, I'm not. Right? Nope. Not able to pay. And she says, oh, well, that's really the only option we have. Really? Because I saw you give other people other options. So, fine. So, at this point, I break down. I start crying because I feel hopeless. I'm in pain. No one's helping me. I feel alone. I feel like I'm an inconvenience. They made me feel horrible. So I just start crying, and she looks at me, and she does have a bit of compassion in her eyes. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm crying. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm in pain. No one's helping me. I came here for help, and no one's helping me. And I don't have a way home, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm sorry. And then she was like she kind of had this, like, I don't know what to do for you. I'm like, it's fine. I'll find a way home. It's fine. I'll find a way home. Right? It's fine. Whatever. So I left. I left with nothing. And I come home. I took an Uber home. Thankfully, my husband had put the app on my phone because I didn't know I was going, if I was going for surgery or not. So I cleaned out my purse before I went to the hospital because I didn't want to have credit cards and money with me because it's a hospital. Things get stolen all the time and I'm there by myself. So I didn't have anything on me. I literally had nothing on me. So I was like, I can't pay for anything. How am I going to get home? Thankfully, my husband had installed an Uber app on my phone that had the credit card in there. So I could do it that way. But otherwise, I'd be like, I guess I'm walking for 4 hours to get home. But that's fine. So I Ubered it home. I got home at like 6 in the morning. Of course, everyone's still sleeping. So I just curled up in my recliner and fell asleep. And that was it. Woke up the next morning. Like when they got up at 7:30. My doctor's office opened at 8. So I called. I'm like, I need to get in and see a doctor today. So I got an appointment with the doctor who had sent me to the emergency room. I went in and I talked to her and I'm like, look, this is what's going on. They did nothing. And she was appalled. They didn't do it. She was just like, I'm sorry. Like, why didn't they do a scope to look in your stomach? They can do that. I'm like, I don't know, but they didn't. So she apologized. She's like, and again, she says the same thing. I mean, you can tell she wants to help, but you can also tell they're bound by results. And all my test results are normal because they always are. And she's like, I don't know. She goes, I can prescribe you something. It's a nerve for nerve pain. Maybe that'll help. I see you have an appointment with your doctor coming up on the 16th. Maybe do a follow-up with him. I don't know what else to do. I'm like, that's fine. Sure. So I go and get this pill for nerve pain. The pharmacist tells me that it will take a good 2 weeks before this actually does anything. Great. Thank you. Thank you. So I come home. I'm still in pain and I'm desperate. Desperate for any kind of relief, you guys. Now, the only thing that the doctor said when I went in to see her again, and this is something that the resident didn't tell me, she said, your scan with contrast does show your cyst on your ovary has shrunk quite a bit. So it's definitely leaking. It has shrunk. She said, so is your pain any better? Because I said, well, is that the cause of my pain? And she goes, your pain should be getting better because it shrunk. Your pain should be getting better if that's the cause. Now, here's the thing. At this point, I can't tell you if my pain is better or not. I can't tell you. Everything is a blur. I've been in pain for days. Like, I can't tell you. I said, it's possible my pain's better. Like, my back pain is still bad, but my stomach pain, I think, is better. But I can't tell. I can't. So, is that the cause? Don't know. Now, I come home and I'm in pain, and you got like, I've gone Western medicine. They can't help me, right? I've been to like 5 or 6 Western medicine doctors in 5-6 days. They can't help me. If I hadn't already sold my soul to the devil himself when I was 13, I would have done it again. I need relief. Okay? So what am I going to do? Hang on, guys. There's emergency alert. It's a test. Great. What am I going to do? Now, for those of you, I've probably mentioned this a few times in some of my videos, okay? I dabble in witchcraft, okay? Now, I'm going to lose some subscribers here. That's fine. I'm probably going to gain some. That's fine. I dabble in witchcraft. Why? It interests me. I'm intrigued by it, okay? I have generations in my family that have done witchcraft. I have some gifts, if you will. I've been known to be clairvoyant. My mother was clairvoyant. My grandmother was clairvoyant. My daughter has shown signs of clairvoyance. So there's a little bit of stuff there. Now I dabble in it. I'm interested in it. I have things. I'm so desperate. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do a healing spell. I'm going to do anything at this point. Okay? So I used some healing herbs. I mixed them together. I made like a, I don't know, rub maybe, not a salve, but like a topical thing. Okay? I mixed it up. I put it on my stomach. I put it on my back where the pain was. I got my husband to help me reluctantly as he's laughing about this, thinking that it's just funny, but whatever. If it works, it works. So I mixed it up. I put some paper towels over to keep it on those areas. I saran wrapped my body to keep it on overnight. I slept with it on my back and my abdomen. I recited the healing spell to myself. I went to bed. What can I tell you about this? Throughout the night, I was able to lay in my own bed. In the beginning, I could only sleep on the right side. I could not sleep on the left. Throughout the night, I woke up and I switched positions to the point where I was sleeping on my left side. Throughout the night, I would wake up and I'd be able to move. My husband and daughter woke up at 7 to get ready for school. I was exhausted. I said, I need to sleep. They left me alone. I slept. I woke up at 10:30 in the morning. This morning, the pain was gone. There was no pain. No back pain. No stomach pain. The pain was gone. Like, disappeared. Gone. Gone. Now, I'm not saying the spell worked. I'm not saying the herbs I put on my body worked. I'm not saying that. I don't know why the pain's gone. It could be because it was from the cyst and the cyst has gotten smaller and that has alleviated the pain. That's a fact we know. We know the cyst was big and then it slowly was shrinking. That's a fact we know. That could be the cause. The spell could have worked. I don't know. I'm not saying it does or it doesn't. I'm not saying one way or the other. All I know is the pain's gone. Okay? Now, I'm also cautious. So today I'm resting. I'm supposed to go to the gym, but I'm canceling. I'm going to take another day of rest because the pain could come back at any time, right? It could. It hasn't yet. Knock on wood, please don't. But I want to take another day of rest before I jump into my regular routine and regular activities. Why is the pain gone? I don't know. I did not make up the pain. The pain was real. The pain was excruciating. It seems to be gone now. I haven't done anything different. So, what solved it? What's frustrating is I don't know. I don't know what solved it and I don't know what caused it. So if this happens again, I have no idea. But as of today, currently, I'm pain-free. Let's hope it stays that way. Let's hope it was just that cyst that is shrinking and my body will reabsorb it and we won't have this problem again. That would be lovely. But I don't know. So that's my update. I can't tell you what happens because no one seems to know. But so far pain-free. So I'm happy about that. If you guys have comments, please put them below. If you have questions, if you have opinions, I'd love to hear from you. I thank you guys so much for watching this update video on my journey with Saskatchewan healthcare and our residents and doctors who are supposed to be there for us, who really let me down. Let me know if you have any experiences with our healthcare system. I'm sure many of you do, and I'm sure not many of them will be positive. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.